Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face when you're sleeping.
10 athletes who celebrated too early. There's an unwritten rule in sports that you should never celebrate until the final whistle. Indeed, you shouldn't try to show up your opponents in a disrespectful manner, because life has a way of making you eat your own words and even regret your actions. But some athletes didn't stick to this unwritten rule and ended up embarrassing themselves in front of live television. They boasted their victory before it was all over. We've compiled 10 of the most cringeworthy moments when athletes celebrated too early and instantly regretted it. Number 10. Nick Young. When Nick Young burst onto the sporting scene, he was considered one of the great young prospects in the NBA. Yes, there was a lot of hype around him, and perhaps he let all that hype get to his head. In a March 2014 game against the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Lakers' Nick Young attempted a three-point shot that was seemingly for sure going in. The small forward shooting guard was so confident in his shooting ability that he even turned his back to the basketball rim and signaled a three-point shot with his hands in the air. Little did he know that this would be the birth of one of his most infamous memes. You can tell from the look on his face that he felt embarrassed as he ran back on defense. Fortunately for Nick, the Lakers did end up winning that game in a resounding 127-96 win, with Nick going 5 for 6 from behind the arc. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works. Number 9. Chris Williams. When it came to the specialty of touchdown returns, nobody did it better than Chris Williams of the Hamilton Ticats. In fact, in the 2012 season, Williams set a CFL record for having 6 touchdown returns during this game. The crazy thing about it all is that it should have been 7. In the July game against Montreal Alouettes, Williams managed to catch the football after a missed field goal and returned it the entire length of the field. He had covered 117 yards, and with only 20 yards to go, Williams couldn't help himself any longer. His confidence burst through the seams, and he turned around and began celebrating before reaching the end zone. One resilient defender who was pursuing Williams managed to catch up with him and tackled him just before he fell into the end zone. Once the play was reviewed, it was ruled that Williams' knee was down at the 1-yard line, canceling the touchdown. Talk about counting your chickens before they hatch. Number 8. Adriana Pertea. The year is 2007, and one of the biggest athletics events, the Chicago Marathon, is taking place. One runner, Adriana Pertea, takes the lead at the 35-kilometer mark, overtaking another competitor, Berhana Deer. By the 40-kilometer mark, Adriana had extended the gap against her rival by an impressive 30 seconds. The victory was surely hers. Towards the end of the race, Pertea was so confident about the win, she began waving at the crowd, slapping fans' hands and soaking in the thought that she was the 2007 champion. It never occurred to her to look behind and see whether her lead was secure. With less than 50 meters to go, a sprinting Burhan overtook Pertea, picking up the victory by a shocking 3 seconds. Had Pertea just maintained the same focus all the way to the end, she might have clinched the gold at the marathon. Too bad she lost her focus when it mattered the most. It goes to show that you just shouldn't count your chickens before they hatch. Number 7. John Woo. Is it not embarrassing to celebrate too early in front of thousands of fans? Indeed, this is exactly what happened in a 2013 Korean League game when the Lot Giants were trailing the NC Dinos 6-4. Outfielder John Woo came onto the plate, confident that he would bring the Lot Giants back to the game by sealing the tying run. John ripped the ball for what he thought was a surefire home run. He flipped the bat, pointed to the crowd, and strutted down the first base line, only for him to see the ball easily caught at the warning track. The Dinos players burst into laughter as John stood there confused, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Number 6. Khalid Askari. Soccer is no doubt one of the most interesting games in the world. With the biggest sporting following in the entire planet, it's no surprise that mistakes and embarrassing moments are bound to happen on film. Take, for example, what happened to goalkeeper Khalid Askari of FAR Rabat. The team was playing against Maghreb when Maghreb was awarded a penalty kick. The imposing goalkeeper stood hands stretched as the opponent shot the ball. Khalid dived the right way, saving the penalty kick. He immediately stood up, turned to the crowd, and pounded his chest in pride. Little did he know that the backspin that he had put on the ball from the initial save had caused it to creep menacingly past the goal line into the net, which goes to show that anything can happen in the game of football. Number 5. Sabrina Zagreb. With the team trailing by only 1 point during the dying seconds of a 2010 EuroLeague game against KK Partizan, a Sabrina player managed to hit a clutch 3 to take a 1-point lead with 0.6 seconds. Seeing that the clock was all but run out, the whole team broke into celebration and began jumping up and down while hugging each other on the court. Unfortunately, with the game not done yet, KK Partizan players continued playing and immediately inbounded the ball with one of the players throwing up a 75-foot buzzer beater, which went in for the win. Sabrina Zagreb couldn't help but look in shock as they soaked in what had just happened. They had lost. Number 4. Leon Lett. Ah, football, the game where celebrations are as epic as the touchdowns. But sometimes players celebrate too early before they've made that coveted field goal. This is exactly what happened to defensive tackle Leon Lett, with the Dallas Cowboys demolishing the Buffalo Bills in the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 26. A Bills fumble was picked up by Cowboys' Leon Lett as he took off towards the end zone. Lett ran down the field, and with only a few yards to go, his ego got the better of him. He began holding out the ball for the final few yards. Little did he know that Bills wide receiver Don Beebe had hustled back and suddenly swatted the ball out of Lett's hand, forcing a touchback instead of a touchdown, potentially destroying what could have been an amazing Super Bowl moment. Talk about having your epic moment snatched away from you when it mattered the most. Number 3. Ricardo Russo. Here we have yet another athlete who let his ego get the better of him, but this time in the sport of motorcycling. And we bet you've seen this one before. During the 2012 Italian CIV Championship race, motorcycle rider Ricardo Russo had begun his final lap by slowing down and celebrating like he was playing a guitar before standing up and pumping his fists to the sky. That's when the gods of fate saw his conceited display and decided to punish him right there and then. Little did he know that the other riders were giving it all they got and raced past Russo to cross the finish line while the announcers stood in shock, trying to explain just what had happened. The rookie mistake cost Russo the victory, and he landed the 14th place. And now we've come to the best pick of the day. Is that Usain Bolt at the front? If so, then we think he's the only player that's allowed to celebrate early. I mean, he still holds the world record for the 100-meter Olympic sprint, and it doesn't look like anyone will be breaking his record anytime soon. Number 2. Mark Martin. When will athletes ever learn? Because it looks like this behavior of celebrating before crossing the finish line has been there for quite a while. At the 1994 Goodies 250 Nationwide Series race, Mark Martin had started the race in pole position and had led for the majority of the race. Unfortunately, the race was slowed down by a caution flag for the final 2 laps and finished under caution. Once Martin had passed the white flag with 1 lap remaining, the other drivers approached him and proceeded to give him a congratulatory wave. The clearly amused Martin made the assumption that the race was over and opted to pull down the pit row with only 300 yards to the finish line. He regretted it entirely, as this silly error gave the victory to David Green. Number 1. Desmond Jackson. At number 1, we have yet another football player who let his ego get the better of him. When will these football players ever learn? Washington wide receiver Desmond Jackson clinches our first spot for making the same mistake of celebrating too early on 2 different occasions. The first time was during the 2005 Army Bowl, when Jackson had made a catch and ran towards the end zone, diving headfirst to score the touchdown. Unfortunately, while he was celebrating, it was ruled that Jackson had taken off too early and had landed on the 1-yard line. A few years later, in 2008, Jackson ended up making the same mistake as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Jackson had caught a long pass from Donovan McNabb and had ran into the end zone for what was anticipated to be a touchdown. Yet again, he threw the ball to the ground in celebration at the 1-yard line. Yeah, we can forgive him for not knowing where the end zone is once, but twice? Man, that must have felt like such a letdown. With that being said, we've come to the end of our video. Which of these athletes do you think had the cringiest early celebration? Let us know in the comments section down below. Want more videos that will probably still exist until the very end of time? Click on any of the videos you see on the screen. As always, thanks for watching.